Like with many other Sonic characters, Tails' portrayal in the main series has been quite a heated talking point within debates among the fanbase. Particularly in Sonic Frontiers, his portrayal was met with undeniable praise upon the initial release for course-correcting how his character was treated during the meta era. However, as the years have gone by, the community has begun to feel more polarized by Tails' characterizations. Some fans may emphasize that Tails is supposed to be a strong fighter who doesn't need to rely on Sonic. Others, on the other hand, perhaps don't mind the more sidekick role Tails played during the events of games such as Unleashed, Colors, and Generations, and perhaps don't bat an eye at his shortcomings. But today, instead of explaining why one depiction of Tails is better than another, I'm here to bring a perspective on him grounded in reflection and mental health. Like we did in my video on Amy, we'll take a closer look at Tails' most pivotal moments during his character arc in Sonic Frontiers, and I'll explain how the story depicts his differing portrayals across the series as a rough but nonetheless steady journey of growth and self-esteem, while also showing how this reflects us and our own struggles with belief in ourselves. Without further ado, let's take a look at the first cutscene.
Sonic, am I a burden to you?
Wow, and how did you come to this well-thought-out concern?
Whenever there's a crisis, I'm either running away or standing on the sidelines. You're always rescuing me when all I do is follow you around.
Hey, who was it who stopped Eggman from blowing up Station Square, huh? And who broke me out of prison, or saved me from the Deadly Six's trap?
Then I'm wildly inconsistent.
Dude, relax! You've got brains like Eggman, speed like me, and can fly with your butt. It's okay if you still need help sometimes. That's just part of growing up.
Huh. When did you get to be so insightful?
I have my moments.
They say the bridge is out.
I'm sure we can fix that. I'll have a look around.
I think this cutscene does a great job of recontextualizing Tails' inner struggle with himself. Like I mentioned in my previous video, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy seem to be going through character arcs that tread on very similar story beats that were present during their arcs in SA1. In the case of Tails, he wishes to be able to stand his own ground whenever faced off against a threat, desiring to achieve this with or without Sonic's presence. He also wants to be able to accomplish things by himself and fight for the greater good without always needing to be bailed out of a situation that's getting out of hand. The moment he managed to defuse the bomb inside Eggman's missile to save Station Square meant a lot to him, because it was one of the first times he accomplished something on that scale by himself and saved people in immediate danger. Then in SA2, when everyone thought Sonic had been permanently taken out after his capsule exploded, Tails fought off Eggman to keep Amy safe and to keep Sonic's spirit alive. This seemed like the point at which Tails felt like he was at his prime, given that he had helped to break Sonic out of prison beforehand, among other grand things. Even though Tails was still very young at the time, and even though he may not have mastered all his abilities during the adventure games, I believe one of the main reasons for why he's depicted as full of conviction is because he hasn't yet had any significant failures, especially in combat, since Sonic took him under his wing. We have to remember that even though Sega seems to have phased out the ages of these characters, Tails is still portrayed as a kid, one who looks up to Sonic as his role model, his big brother, and even as a parental figure. Tails is a very high achiever, evident from his IQ rivaling that of Eggman's and all the inventions and knowledge he has, and would hate to let Sonic down in any way. So once experiencing what he would perceive as his first failure since being with Sonic, Tails may have begun to develop negative thoughts quietly at the back of his mind about his capabilities, perhaps feeling that he's not as brave, smart, or talented as people make him out to be. Maybe Tails has felt as if he's failed to live up to the expectations of his big brother and others in general, or in other words, the expectations Tails perceives others have for him. In fact, these negative thoughts and feelings can manifest as imposter syndrome if not acknowledged early on, suggesting that Tails might have been struggling with this in silence for longer than we imagined. Consider this. It takes Sonic a second try in this scene in Frontiers for Tails to begin accepting and internalizing the positive feedback given to him. And when looking back at Tails' track record for notable feats of courage or skill since the early 2000s, not many come to mind. Perhaps he hasn't even wanted to put himself out there that often due to a potential fear of failure. Post SA2, we've seen him stand up to dangerous enemies and circumstances, like when he came to his friends' aid in the battle against Neo Metal Sonic, and even during gameplay such as in Sonic 06, where you can use Tails' dummy ring bombs to defeat Iblis monsters, robots, and so forth. However, he's also had a fair share of shortcomings, like when he accidentally revealed to Eggman that their Chaos Emerald was a fake in SA2, or when his fear got the best of him in Sonic Unleashed as he was first surrounded by the Gaia monsters. And again during the scene in Forces when confronted by a clone of Chaos. But even accounting for all this, I don't hold anything against Tails for having these less than desirable moments. I mean, don't we all have moments like this, where we just freeze up even if what we're doing is similar to what we've done before? It's the negative thoughts about ourselves and the fear of failure that are winning. I've seen a lot of fans ask why Tails isn't the cool, brave hero we saw during the early 2000s, but to me, part of being a cool, brave hero means showing you have the courage to admit when you're afraid or lacking belief in yourself, asking for help when you need it, then inspiring others to do the same. That's when you'll be able to build the support groups that you and others may need. You won't just be building up confidence in yourself again, you'll also be helping others to do it too. Although this process isn't quite smooth sailing all the time, and we'll see shortly how this comes together for Tails in Frontiers.
They say this was the last of the defensive measures.
Way to go. Your hero will be thrilled with all your hard work. And I'm proud of you. Don't forget that.
I won't.
We've now just witnessed how important self-esteem is and how we ourselves can tackle negative thought patterns like those involved in imposter syndrome. It's only the point at which Sonic expresses to Tails' Coco how much their hard work meant to their hero and how they've contributed to the defenses against the end, that the Coco finally finds peace within themselves and moves on to the next stage of their life, or afterlife in this specific case. And right after this is probably one of the rare times Sonic has directly and explicitly told Tails that he's proud of him, with the cutscene we saw previously being an instance where he explains to Tails why he shouldn't be so hard on himself. Sonic listed off all these big things that Tails has managed to achieve in order to reassure him that he really is talented, clever, and brave, that he's not being a fraud, and that all his successes so far have been genuine and real. But to balance this out, Sonic also emphasized that even with all these achievements under his belt, Tails can't be expected to be able to excel at everything all at once, or be able to defeat every single enemy and villain single-handedly from the get-go all the time. Not only is Sonic demonstrating what a great support figure he is for Tails, but he's also helped him begin on the path of what internationally recognized expert in imposter syndrome, Dr. Valerie Young, calls the humble realist. Young explains that a humble realist, or one without imposter syndrome, has a realistic understanding of competence. This involves accepting their strengths, limitations, failures, mistakes, and constructive feedback, demonstrating they understand that a certain amount of fear, self-doubt, and failure is necessary as part of the journey towards success. Of course, this is by no means a straight line, always going upward. We may have some good and bad days, sometimes we crumble under the pressure, sometimes we rise up to the occasion, regardless of what we're trying to accomplish. It'll be a bumpy road all the same, but I don't think our triumphs would feel earned without any blood, sweat, or tears. This really hits home when I look at Tails' journey, especially if we consider that perhaps the collection of all of his portrayals throughout the series, whether viewed as unfavorable, out of character, or otherwise, stands as a reminder to us that we will inevitably fail in life, and that's okay. We need to love ourselves for who we are and will be, and what we've done and will do. We need to have more belief in ourselves because no matter the difficulty of our tasks, believing is half the battle. This will help us build up our self-esteem, help to urge us into doing things we previously thought weren't possible, and thus help us grow and make some progress towards our goals in life. The way Tails is able to do this is with his solo adventure. After the passing of his respective Coco, he discloses to Sonic his plans to go out adventuring on his own so that he can reach his full potential. It's because of his newfound self-esteem and belief in himself, thanks to the support and unconditional love Sonic has given him, that Tails reignites his resolve to be his own person, no longer living in Sonic's shadow, and to be able to help those in need in his own way. This point during his character arc in Frontiers slightly differs to that which he experienced during the adventure days, because this time, he understands that it's okay to fail and ask for help sometimes. Additionally, while striving to be a reliable and accomplished individual, Tails now knows that Sonic is proud of him and considers him as an equal, not just a little bro, not just a sidekick, but his partner. Seeing Tails grow and change like this has really resonated with me and helped me deal with my perfectionism, as well as my issues of low self-esteem and belittling of my own skills. Growing up into a family of high achievers, my life would inevitably feel burdened with expectations to live up to. A lot of my extended family worked as doctors, architects, engineers, lawyers, and so forth, and I'd even heard a lot on a daily basis about how my younger cousins were doing at school. They received certificates, awards, and recognition pretty frequently. Meanwhile, I'd felt like I was going to collapse under the pressures of high school, involving the long hours and consecutive days I'd have to be in for, and even just the difficulty of content I had to learn for exams. I still managed to get some B's and barely scrape a few A's and such, but even though my friends always praised me for these achievements, deep down I always felt like I hadn't earned them. I would just make up excuses, like chalking my successes up to luck, or believing everyone else would also be just as, if not more capable than me to get these grades. I would belittle my skills like this all the time, leading me into a spiral of negative self-talk that almost consumed me completely. This made me become so obsessed over being perfect and to always meet people's expectations. So as a Sonic fan in my teens, I naturally gravitated towards Tails' character. His bumpy journey of success, failure, and working on his self-esteem showed me that I didn't have to be so perfectionist. Whatever happens, happens. As long as we've given all our effort, that's all anyone can really ask for, and we can treat our failures as stepping stones for our successes of the future. Our self-esteem and belief in ourselves can sometimes be knocked down a few pegs, but in these times of doubt, it's important that we surround ourselves with people who see us, our talents, and accomplishments for what they are. I'm glad that Tails is one of my favourite Sonic characters, just like Amy. It's up to you to decide whether certain portrayals of them are in or out of character. But personally, I like seeing how the collections of their imperfections represent us and different aspects of our journeys in life. For anyone out there who needs this, you are enough. You are talented. You are strong and you are capable. You've got this. And that's where we'll leave off for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Seeing the positive reception for my last video felt so surreal, but it's greatly appreciated. I didn't expect to have such a big impact on the community, especially this early on, but I'm so thankful for all the support so far. I knew I had to talk about Tails next, and now I'm thinking of maybe making a video on Knuckles or Shadow. Let me know down below if you'd be on board with this. In the meantime, if you enjoyed today's video, consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this in the future. I'll be aiming to upload every 2 weeks or so. Thanks again, everyone. Have a good rest of your day or night. Take care.